The UK has recorded its hottest June day for the second time this week after temperatures hit 36.4 degrees Celsius in a village called Yeovilton in Somerset. Correction, the date is now Friday, the 26th of June, and the record has been broken again, with 36.9 degrees Celsius recorded in Wadisham, Suffolk, the Met Office says. My name is Russell. I'm an American living in the UK and also currently enduring firsthand the great European heat wave of June 2026. Before we dive into this, I just have to say, I've spent summers in where I grew up, Illinois, obviously. I lived in the state of Iowa next door for 7 years and spent every summer there. And I've also spent summers in California, Texas, and Florida. And none of those places have anything on how hot it gets in the UK. Now, Americans in my comments, you can fight me on this, but it's futile. I'm not giving it up. It's the worst heat I've ever experienced has happened in the UK. Some of the more obvious reasons the heat feels worse in the UK during the summer is due to the location on the planet that the UK sits on. It sits in a position where the sunlight is much more direct to the island, but also mainly it's an island, therefore surrounded by lots of water and humidity in the air, and that's what makes things so regularly horrible as soon as the temperature goes up to even just like 29 or 30 degrees. Never mind this record-breaking 36.4. So, you know, it's bad. This is my first full summer here, where I will be here from start to finish, going through every heat wave that my British companions are also going through. No escaping back to America. I am here, burning up with the rest of you. This is also my first summer in a proper house. Lottie and I got this house in April, and within the span of a week, this place has turned into an oven, like an actual hot box. It's this little semi-detached house that's completely made of brick. Like, I've never lived in a brick house before. And oh my goodness gracious, all the guidance to not open your windows when it's really hot outside, therefore cutting off ventilation. And just the lack of air conditioning in general. I mean, just walking upstairs is torture. Being inside is torture, but being outside is torture too. It's crazy how trapped you feel when the heat is this bad. But anyway, I'm sure you guys didn't click on the video to watch me complain. We are here to react to this video from ITV specifically. If you'd rather just watch this video uninterrupted, I'll put the link for it in the description.
Relief from the sweltering sun just a few hours into this heat wave. For many, it's a chance to enjoy the weather, but with a red alert on the horizon, there are warnings these temperatures will impact health and social care services.
Would you like to go outside for a little stroll before it gets too hot?
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
This home supports residents with dementia and gives palliative care to some of the most vulnerable at risk this week.
Residents on a palliative care require extra attention from our staff, making sure that they are comfortable, making sure they are repositioned regularly so that pressure areas are well cared for.
How do you feel that Wednesday has now been upgraded to a red alert?
It is a concern, and we made sure that we planned ahead, making sure that everyone is informed about our expectancies, how we're going to keep this place as cool as possible through the heat wave.
It is just so crazy to me that an elder care home, I'm not really sure what they call it here in the UK, but like an elderly care facility back in the US, I mean, this wouldn't even be a conversation. They're all outfitted with AC, you know? Like if it ever got this hot in the States, you know, you just crank that up and, you know, your elderly are taken care of. But here, you know, the buildings just aren't made for that. Like older facilities, like historic buildings, most homes aren't. Obviously, this place doesn't, you know, seem to have AC, and, you know, they're having to take all these steps just to make sure that the elderly are taken care of in the heat. It's got to be a tough job.
Some schools closed today, while others tried to keep children cool in their classrooms as the heat wave hit.
Our buildings aren't really...
What are those? That's actually pretty smart. Oh, those poor things. Man, I can't imagine a school not having air conditioning.
Very well designed to deal with these kind of temperatures. So over the last few years in June and July, we do get up to, you know, over 30 degrees in some of our classrooms.
This is the second.
Over 30 degrees. You can't learn in those temperatures. I mean, I certainly couldn't. Man, anything above like 26, 27 degrees inside of my own house, and I can't even think straight, much less learn in a classroom. Oh my Lord.
This is the second red heat health warning issued for the UK. The first was 4 years ago. Today, the Met Office has forecast more extreme and dangerous weather conditions across the country as our climate continues to change. Last heatwave in May, 15 people died after getting into trouble in the water.
Well, it couldn't look more appealing than on a day like today, but the UK Health Security Agency warns this weather could lead to an increased likelihood of cold water shock, with temperatures expected to rapidly rise over the next few days. What precautions are you taking on a day like today with this type of heat?
Like stay hydrated and just make sure you got sun cream on and things like that.
In a place like the UK, we kind of go crazy when it's hot and don't really think twice, but yeah, I think people should be safe.
So we all came at like 10:30 so that we could get in before it got really hot, and the whole shocking your body thing is quite scary.
People get excited to cool off, right? They just want to cannonball on into the lake or the river and without really even knowing how cold it is. And then you go through cold water shock, which is very dangerous. It actually could kill you. It could be deadly.
Air moves in from Europe. Tomorrow is forecast to be the warmest day of the year so far in what's expected to be a record-breaking week for the UK.
Today is Thursday. It's actually supposed to be 4 degrees hotter in my area of London tomorrow, surpassing the sweltering day that we had just yesterday. Like, I can't believe how long this heat wave has lasted, and it's only gotten worse as it's gone on. It's incredible.
Sangeeta Lal, ITV News.
Becky joins me now with more on this. Becky, how unusual is this?
Kamal, I don't think that it would be extraordinary for me to say that this is an exceptional heat event. It would be unusual enough to have 4 consecutive days with such a wide-ranging amber warning, but then to have 2 red warnings in there as well. In 26 years of doing this job, I don't remember another situation like this. This is really very extreme and it's incredibly unusual. But what does this actually mean? This is...
Man, look at that map. Looks like it pays to live up north. Lottie's got some family that lives up north. We should have gone to visit them this week.
Not in any way to say that if you're not in either of these warning areas, it's not going to be hot, but definitely this is really worth paying attention. Let's have a look at what this actually breaks down to. Well, over the next few days, we can expect more in the way of the disruption. We've got disruption to heat-related illness, of course, so that's not just sunburn, of course that's in there as well, but you've got heat stroke, and this is not just for the very vulnerable, the very old and the very young. This is everybody, particularly if you work outside. You've got pressure on the NHS, particularly on the emergency services. That's worth bearing in mind. We've already had school closures as well. Schools are desperately trying to adapt.
Honestly,
and
that's
travel
good.
And energy supply disruption as well. So this is a very, very significant heat event. It should be out of it by the time we get to the end of the week, but this is definitely a very, very serious situation that needs taking seriously, certainly.
In a hot city, this seems like the only place to stay cool.
What's it like in the water?
It's nice and cold.
Nice and cold.
It feels nice, and you can chill and have fun.
A hot day like.
See, growing up, this is where you would go all summer. Hit the pool, the local community pool. This gives me flashbacks.
This I can cool down. I'm going to go and cool down in a minute. Yeah, it's lovely.
Our little pool at home doesn't do this any justice.
The water looks fun, but it's important to be safe in the water, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So water safety is really important, especially our location. We've got the pool. We're also very close to the river. So our lifeguards are all fully trained, but we do also need everyone to stay safe, make sure they're staying within their depth if they're not that strong, and looking out for each other as well if you're coming in groups.
I mean, it is a school day, but there seem to be a lot of kids here.
And while the sun is fun for some Londoners, for others it's something to endure.
And I sleep quite a lot anyway.
Eileen Hewitt is 89, and in this heat,
Aww.
her fan is her friend.
Cope with it quite well because in my room I've got a fan. And that keeps me cool all the time. I don't go out in the heat.
Is that the trouble with this country? It's always too cold and then it's suddenly too hot.
We're never satisfied. It's either too rainy, too wet, too hot, too cold.
It can be kind of difficult making sure
so
that the
right for
residents
that.
stay safe. We encourage them to drink lots of fluids. We encourage things like ice lollies, cold drinks, and for them to stay in cooler rooms and shaded areas if they are sitting outside. I think
Nothing like an ice lolly during the summer. Like those colorful ones that come in the plastic, like see-through tube. Oh, craving an ice pop now.
Biggest challenge is more that the older we get, we less perceive like the thirst and the hunger. So it's more about keep going little and often to offer the fluids rather than, because a lot of them don't feel thirsty or feel the heat the same way we do.
It's probably cooler inside than out. So think about closing the windows, and if the sun's coming in, closing the curtains against the sun.
That's very, very true. I think a lot of time the mentality is, well, if it's hot inside, open the window, get a breeze coming in. But it's quite actually hotter outside than inside. You're doing yourself a favor by leaving it closed and then blocking it. I've heard some people actually use tinfoil to help reflect the sunlight and reflect the heat away from the window using tinfoil. Never heard of that before. Personally, I just have double layered blackout curtains, which sort of absorb the heat and keep it out of the air in the room and stuff. But yeah, great advice.
Not something we normally do.
And what's currently an amber warning will become a red alert on Wednesday, the highest warning the Met Office can issue. That means a danger not only to life, but power and transport. And as temperatures rise, so will the pressure on emergency services, with a warning tonight of World Cup celebrations in a heatwave.
Of course, we want England to do well tomorrow night in the football, but alcohol might quench your thirst, but isn't going to rehydrate you.
Some parents.
That's a great point. A point that, the British love their drink. They love their pints. Most of my British friends count having a couple of pints as adequate hydration. But yeah, just drinking some good old water, You got to keep your actual hydration up while you're drinking too. A lot of people aren't going to do that when they're celebrating.
Parents here appear to have decided it's simply too hot for the classroom. But as temperatures climb, keeping cool remains the most important lesson of all.
Year 5 English at Drake Primary in Thetford, and the drawers that normally contain their workbooks have a new use. Like most schools, there's no...
Oh, they're drawers. Drawers for their notebooks. They're just being repurposed. I thought they were special cooling trays or something. How naive I truly am.
No air conditioning, so when the forecast hints at high 30s, they get creative to stay cool. All shade has to be utilised, and the timetable has to change.
Man, how do you justify just getting creative? I don't mean to sound too critical of the school system or anything, but at 30 degrees, you have to start making a decision about whether it's a good idea to even have the kids in school in the first place, if you ask me. I am dying right here in my own house, and it's 28 degrees right now in the house. 30, maybe pushing 31 inside of a classroom with a bunch of other people sweating, respirating, just being overheated, trying to learn, trying to teach. Oh man, in a confined space too. I can appreciate the innovation of using the drawers to help cool the kids down and trying to be in the shade as much as possible. But, at some point it's just keep them home, I know it's tough on lesson plans, but it's worth it for their health and for their learning.
Our buildings aren't really very well designed to deal with these kind of temperatures.
It's true, no AC.
So over the last few years in June and July, we do get up to, over 30 degrees in some of our classrooms.
I remember the hottest days that I would be in high school especially. It would be such a relief to re-enter the school building. I'd come from sports practice. I ran a lot of cross country and track, and during the summers, I would be just glistening from head to toe, just covered in sweat and so overheated and desperately in need of cooling. And the first place you go is inside of the school building because it was so cold in there. The AC was just world class, you know what I'm saying? Not to, show off or anything. It's just comparatively, it's crazy to me that a school of all places is lacking in that sort of thing.
Which is very challenging.
Drake is one of many schools due to take students to the Royal Norfolk Show this week, but temperatures are set to peak for it on Wednesday and Thursday. Organisers say the safety of visitors and animals is paramount, and some event timings may change.
We are constantly assessing the forecast. We're taking advice from a range of experts. We fully expect to deliver a complete Royal Norfolk Show programme, but it may be that some events are rescheduled to take part in cooler parts of the day.
The approaching heat is extreme, likely to surpass these scenes.
Oh my God. Are those ladybugs, I think? Oh, this is from 1976. Apparently 1976 was a very, very hot summer. It's referenced all of the time in my comment section on other platforms. So I'm guessing that's why they're showing this.
To smash the June record of 1976. A rare danger to life red weather warning in places like Northamptonshire, Bedfordshire and Hertfordshire. Onion farmer Tim has long watched climate extremes and worried about his business, so last year he turned a poorly performing field into a vineyard. He says the soil here in Hockwold is similar to that in the Champagne region, and he's just launched his first wine.
We've had one of the worst years on onions last year that we could ever have had, and actually our first harvest of grapes was a really good one, way above expectation. So it's demonstrating that my small business has to have that variation to be able to manage different climatic.
You have to adapt. It's true.
Managing climate extremes in a society not always set up for it is challenging, and as these forecasts become more common, as the records tumble, it's a challenge we're going to become more and more familiar with.
Preparations for the heatwave here at the Towans care home in Burnham-on-Sea began as soon as the extreme temperatures were forecast.
Love to see it.
Ordering in extra fridges and fans. And now the amber heat alert has come into place, making sure staff and residents stay safe.
We've been trying to promote bananas and oranges for the fact that they're very good at absorbing and keeping sodium levels up.
Electrolytes,
so that people aren't getting dehydrated a lot. We've ended up, lucky enough, having 2 air cons, so the air cons are fully on at the moment. English hot weather is very different than abroad hot weather, so we're not just dealing with it being hot, it's the humidity that goes with it, and I think the humidity is what makes people drowsy, more risk of falls as well.
While elderly residents are particularly...
See, people don't always think outside of themselves. They don't always think of how the heat and the humidity is going to affect more than themselves or, maybe their immediate family and friends that they see every day. There's entire care homes, entire hospitals, entire nurseries, there's entire places of populations that are at much higher risk than you or I when it comes to extreme heat. Elderly, babies, the sick, you gotta really think about these things. She mentioned fall risk. I mean, completely true. Can you imagine just it being too hot and you can't stand properly anymore?
Susceptible to the heat, they're doing their best to stay as cool as possible.
I am fortunate in that my bedroom is at the front of the house and I'm surrounded by trees, so I'm never in the direct sunlight, and it's a lot cooler in my room, but even so it still gets very hot.
And some find the heat easier to deal with than others. Joan is lucky enough to have one of the cooler rooms and will be staying put to cope with the rising temperatures.
I don't like the heat because it affects my arthritis. We're going through this global warming, and let's hope soon it turns cold again.
Let's hope indeed, Joan. As much as everybody loves when the sun comes out in the usual dreary UK, I'd so much rather it be too cold than too hot. The buildings in the UK were constructed to be very insulated against the cold and retain heat. When it's too cold, you can bundle up. But when it's too hot and you can't move around too much like these folks, or you don't have anywhere else to go and there's no AC, your fate is literally to bake inside of your own dwelling. Sounds a bit grim. It's because it is.
With temperatures around 30 degrees in Burnham-on-Sea this afternoon, some people sought to cool down at the water's edge.
Well, along the shoreline there's a bit of a breeze here, which is making it feel a touch cooler, but walk a few metres that way into town and it quickly becomes really stifling. And a lot of people we've been talking to say that although they're managing to stay cool in this heat at the moment, they're a bit worried about what the rest of the week has in store.
I don't cope very well with the heat. We're not geared up for it, are we?
Was that seagull panting? It looks like he's panting.
Not geared up for it, are we? Like everything. It's like when we have the heavy snow, we're not geared up for that. We're not geared up for hot sun. We haven't got air conditioning.
It feels like we're on holiday. So luckily we don't have to go to work, so we don't have to worry about the travelling and being in the car and being in the streets and things. So we just take it easy in the garden, put the hose on us occasionally.
And a nice ice cream to keep you cool.
I feel the heat. I struggle with my mobility as well, so it's a bit difficult.
It's very nice because, it's not often that we do get this heat.
It's nice to enjoy it when it's here.
Enjoy it while it's here and make the most of it.
It blows my mind that people are actually enjoying how hot it is right now. And it really shouldn't, because, you know, not everybody's afflicted by the heat in the same way. And like I just said, it's pretty nice when the sun comes out in the UK. I mean, just think about how well, you know, your local ice cream truck is doing right now.
Enjoyable, perhaps, but health officials say it's vital people understand the risks posed by the extreme heat, something South Western Ambulance Service is all too aware of.
So we see an increase in 999 activity, and for example on Sunday yesterday we dealt with 9.5% more incidents than we normally would at this time of the year. That clearly puts a huge amount of pressure on both our control rooms, our emergency ambulance crews, but also the wider system in terms of 999 activity.
That extra pressure prompting calls for caution, particularly as the heatwave intensifies in the coming days.
9.5% increase in 999 activity might not sound like a lot, but if you're serving a community of just 10,000 people, an increase of 950 extra cases on top of an already burdened, under-resourced system is definitely going to mean the difference between life and death. It's crazy to see.
Yes, well, here on the south coast, of course, we do get some relief from the very hot weather because of the sea breeze. But even here in Christchurch today, the temperature did top 30 degrees. And the best way to stay cool is to find some shade, of which there is plenty here, thanks to the many trees. Most people who did venture out in the midday sun also wore a hat, but do spare a thought for the many parents and grandparents who are doing their best to keep babies and toddlers cool.
Yes, it's hot, but we are going to appreciate it.
Most of it.
And thank you.
You're keeping him cool?
Yes.
Yes.
It's a pity that the splash park isn't open, though. A bit disappointed with that. But apart from that, we love it, don't we?
Yes.
How is it not open on a day like
yeah,
today?
It makes a massive difference. It's quite good off the water as well.
More hot days to come. Are you concerned about the little ones?
Not too much, but yeah, I mean, it's not going to be easy, particularly at night, so we need to invest in some fans.
We're enjoying it. He's had a decent nap. I think the weather's helping with that. He loves his food. So yeah, we're managing okay. We enjoy the sun, plenty of sun cream.
And lots of shade.
Yep.
I have to admit, it is kind of uplifting to see some people enjoying this awful heat.
Well, it was also very hot over the weekend, and especially at the Isle of Wight Festival. The clean-up has now got underway in even hotter conditions, and we spoke to some of the festival goers as they made their way home from Ryde and asked them how they managed in the heat.
Unbearable. It was so hot, but we had a great time. We had lots of little umbrellas that she used, but lots of water.
Very, very warm. Yeah, it's very warm, but it's okay. It's manageable. We sat in the shade, got some drinks, so it's okay.
Staying in the shade, to be fair, and then the aircon will be blasting when I get back in the car.
Well, like people on the Isle of Wight, we do get that cooling breeze. The higher temperatures tend to be a few miles inland, and that's where potentially records could be broken over the next few days.
Well, in terms of heat, this week is going to be exceptional. We will be breaking the current long-standing June record of 35.6. We may break our all-time summer record of 40.3. With that in mind, the Met Office have an amber extreme heat warning currently in force, and that will be rising to a red extreme heat warning through Wednesday and Thursday.
Did you say 40.3 for the summer record? 104.5 degrees Fahrenheit, my friends. That is hot. Now, where I'm from in Chicago, it's actually gotten higher than that before, but you have to understand the context of the UK. The climate here is very different, very humid. You simply have to adjust for that humidity. 104 Fahrenheit, 40.3 degrees Celsius with the humidity here is much higher than that. Obviously not a safe temperature for anybody to be out and about in. Just insane to me that we might actually be seeing a record broken this summer here in the UK.
Well, in this extreme heat wave, it is tempting to cool down with a dip in the river, but that is being discouraged because even at this time of year, there is still the risk of cold water shock. It is best to stay in the shade and have plenty to drink, but it is going to be glorious, hot, sunny weather over the next few days, so if you can, make the most of it, but be safe.
Wow. Estimates indicate 3% of British homes have air conditioning compared to 90% in America. And let me tell you, folks, that has been the biggest adjustment for me. Coming home and walking into your house after being outside on a very hot day, historically for me, has always been associated with relief. But now I walk into our house and it's usually hotter than it is outside. I sincerely hope that anybody watching, you and your loved ones, are staying cool during this heat wave. I gotta say, from a very honest place, I truly believe that this is one of the coolest summers that we might have for the rest of our lifetimes. The globe is getting warmer. It seems like every summer the temperatures are just climbing and climbing and climbing. And it's really finally catching up to the UK that a lot of the infrastructure here just is not ready for that change. And it needs to start getting ready for that change by whatever means. As exhausted as I am from the heat, I still love being here, and I still love all the things that I'm learning, especially all the ways that everybody seems to be coping differently with the heat. So why don't you do everybody a favor and comment down below what you are doing to stay cool during this heat wave, what you typically do to stay cool when it gets hot here in the UK. Thank you very much for making it to the end of the video, and thank you very much for 50,000 subscribers here on the channel. Most of the people that watch my videos are not subscribed, so if you could hit that red subscribe button, it would mean the whole world to me. It helps out so much. Don't forget to hype the video. You can find the hype button down below near the comments, and of course, give it a like. After living in the UK, I cannot see my home country of America the same anymore. If you'd like to learn a little bit more about why I feel that way, go ahead and check out this video right here. As always, being British is fun, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.